Hello, Internet. It's time for another Wednesday serial. This time I want to talk about Wonder Woman, the True Amazon, which I just finished reading and was inspired to talk about it a bit. Now, uh, if you haven't read this, I'm just going to kind of really quickly get to spoilers. But I thought it's worth talking about, and it's going to be impossible to talk about this book without the ending because it is so storybook. So, you have been warned. So, first and foremost, what kind of bugs me is Wonder Woman doesn't quite get the thrift that Superman or Batman does when it comes to Elseworlds treatment or Trades treatment or a side miniseries. And so the fact that when we finally get one, it's about her origin again is not much fun. I want to see more done with the character. There's so much potential. And yeah. So that's just, off on the wrong foot. But it is kind of cool to see this artistic style that's this painted watercolor storybook kind of an idea. I like that aesthetic. I think it works well for Wonder Woman. I like the idea that this is a girl growing up and going through everything, and this is an origin told without Steve Trevor. There's a lot of interesting bits going here that could play to the mythology in multiple ways. What killed me though is as she's coming up, as Deanna's coming up, she's a bratty kid, and the book spends time here showing all the little things she does. But she's a little girl, and some things go, and then quickly she grows older and hasn't quite grown out of it, if you will. Um, I knew something was going to come of this reading it because it naturally has to, just by the nature of how stories move. But it ends up that her hubris causes her to take out this horn during a race for her to win the crown. But in doing so, she releases these monsters that end up maiming and killing Artemis, who actually is the title, the one true Amazon, as you come through, which is a cool twist. Like, the story works within itself fairly well. It's an interesting take on the character. But when you step back, you have this Wonder Woman that is marred from the start instead of being this kind of paragon of virtue to look to that's been so important about Wonder Woman through the ages, being on the cover of Miss Magazine and the TV show that little girls could look up to, and the super heroine that is there for girls and not just the guys, and has always been that feminist icon. Having her be a bratty little kid that's wearing her uniform like a scarlet letter is not the same. It's a different character at its core, which makes this odd to me. I mean, ultimately, this exists, it's out there. It's an interesting story, but it doesn't feel like Wonder Woman to me on any level, and it just kind of, so that just kind of hit me raw and kind of left a weird taste in my mouth, if you will, to the whole idea. So what also kind of is odd is the story never really has Wonder Woman. We get her as Wonder Woman walking away, again, with the bearings of Wonder Woman now made kind of an inverse, which if you were to follow generally what you do, go out into the world of man and do good deeds to essentially make up for the death she caused. It puts a spin on the character that could be interesting, but again, ultimately not Wonder Woman. But it's an interesting idea, I guess, to play with, and it's something there. Making Wonder Woman a Tales Grim rather than what she has been is such an odd take. And to me, it's interesting because I haven't heard much about this graphic novel, but I heard a lot of outcry against Azzarello's run, and maybe it's just the framing of it, what's continuity, what's not, what can be a fun idea versus what's something we have to live with for a few years as the character goes. But to me, this is more subversive than anything else, and actually puts her in a position where she's more of a bratty little kid trying to make up, rather than Wonder Woman. So I don't know. It was just such an odd read, and it was just this odd idea on a character that I've been trying to dive more and more into, that it just really took me aback. And I'm really curious if anyone else had any thoughts on this book, on other bits of Jill Thompson's work. Given her pedigree, I kind of found this kind of surprising, but really I shouldn't be. This is a lot closer to, like, say, a Sandman story than a Wonder Woman story in certain aspects, and for that, maybe it makes more sense. Yeah, I don't know, and it's hard because I don't want to say, like, this is a bad book. This is an interesting book. Everything in it is top notch, and in and of itself, it all works. I just don't like the idea of the core that we walk away with, but it challenges you, and it challenges your idea of the characters. So if it's a book I don't like, this is the best kind of don't like, one that really makes you step back and live with the book a little longer and make you kind of question what it is you don't like about it, and ultimately what it is about the character, and what you like about the character that you feel this is betraying. It forces you to kind of play in the negative space that you probably don't operate with very often. But to that, it's something I've seen more and more as we get all these iterations of characters, as things move forward, and we have some more and more legacy characters, at least from my perspective. What makes a character anymore? What makes it a Superman story if he kills so willingly? What makes it a Wonder Woman story if she's a brat? What makes it a Spider-Man story if he starts being non-heroic from the get-go? How far can you push what these characters are and who they are in certain situations before it becomes a new character? And at what point should it have moved on to something else? I think these are lines we're starting to push against in different ways now, and a book like this makes me think, could this have the same impact if it wasn't a Wonder Woman book? I don't think it could have. But boy, I wish it could have, because this could have been an interesting foil to Wonder Woman in the DC universe, to expand things, to play with new ideas with kind of more of a dark mirror in a more natural way. So, yeah. I don't know. Just some food for thought. Hope you all enjoy. Catch you soon with another comic review.